Welcome to episode 67 of the Pulse of Physiology. I'm your host, Dr. Jim Davis, and today we're discussing the regulation of body osmolarity, a critical process for maintaining fluid balance and cellular function. By the end of this episode, you'll understand how water intake and loss affect osmolarity, the role of osmoreceptors in regulating thirst and the release of antidiuretic hormone or vasopressin, and how the body compensates for changes in water balance. So let's get started. Water balance is maintained by matching fluid intake with fluid loss. The body gains water through ingestion of liquids and foods, which accounts for about 90% of intake, as well as metabolic water production, which accounts for the remaining 10%. Water is lost through sensible losses and insensible losses. Sensible losses are losses that we can measure, specifically urine, sweat, and feces, with most of the loss occurring via urine. Insensible losses are those losses that occur that we are unable to directly measure, such as evaporation from the skin and lungs. To maintain homeostasis, water input must equal water output. Now, the primary driver of fluid intake is thirst, and this is primarily triggered by osmoreceptors. These receptors are located in the hypothalamus and sense plasma osmolarity. An increase in osmolarity that occurs via dehydration activates the thirst center, which prompts drinking behavior. Activated osmoreceptors also stimulate the release of ADH or vasopressin from the posterior pituitary, and this prevents the excretion of water. Another driver is dry mouth. Increased osmolarity reduces saliva production and, in fact, converts saliva back into plasma. This is what causes dry mouth. This also sends signals to the brain, which further reinforces that thirst. And then finally, you have baroreceptors. And baroreceptors are involved with sensing volume. So they detect changes in blood pressure and blood volume. Low blood volume or low blood pressure triggers thirst to restore homeostasis. Water output is primarily regulated by the kidneys. If fluid intake exceeds fluid loss, the release of ADH or vasopressin decreases, leading to diuresis or increased urine output. As a result, more water is excreted to help maintain the appropriate osmolarity. If fluid loss exceeds intake, ADH release increases, which causes water retention in the kidneys. This results in more concentrated urine, which allows the body to conserve water. Now, the body actually has a specific response pathway when someone drinks a large volume of water. The thirst sensation is quenched immediately, even though the body might still be dehydrated. Water is absorbed into the plasma, which reduces plasma osmolarity. This lower plasma osmolarity leads to a decreased release of ADH or vasopressin, which promotes diuresis. And as we talked about in a previous episode, water moves by osmosis from the plasma to the interstitial fluid, and then from the interstitial fluid into the intracellular fluid, ultimately restoring water balance. So to summarize, water intake and loss must be balanced to maintain homeostasis. Osmoreceptors in the hypothalamus detect changes in plasma osmolarity and regulate thirst and ADH secretion. ADH controls water retention or excretion and adjusts urine concentration. Drinking excess water lowers plasma osmolarity, which will then reduce the amount of ADH released and increase the amount of urine produced. So that's it for episode 67 of the Pulse of Physiology. I hope this episode has clarified how the body regulates osmolarity and maintains water balance. Come back next time for episode 68, where we'll explore potassium and calcium homeostasis. Until then, keep questioning, keep exploring, and stay curious.